Welcome back. In this video, I wanted to show you my install method of a vapor barrier radiant barrier installation. This is mainly to stop the building from sweating or condensating, and it's also a good kind of first base for insulation. Because after this whole building is done, I'm going to be coming back with a 2-inch, 2.5-inch ISO foam board to get the additional R value, and then I can cover it all up after that. About going with your insulation, you can go two ways of either doing it yourself or get the dealer or builder to do it, which you can always ask for a quote. When I asked, because I was curious, it was about $3,000, and I was able to buy all the material for around $1,000. So it did save me $2,000, which I was able to put towards my electrical and my epoxy flooring. It is just kind of labor intensive. It does take a while. I've just kind of been slowly working on it. And I wanted to run my electrical first anyway. Since I have the horizontal siding, I'm able to run all my wiring behind each leg and kind of hide it all. And then when you put the insulation up, it gives it a nice clean look. So I'm going to show you what material I'm using, and I'll also show you a little bit of the install method, and maybe some time lapse in here as well. So you can see I already got part of the building up. And really the biggest thing with this is that you want to make sure you have a little bit of an air gap between the insulation. So this is the side that faces the metal. So this is the foam core I have. They also have like double bubble. This is what faces out. And you can also do like furring strips right here and here, and then you can staple to it or sticky tape to it. But in my case, I just kind of screwed to the sides. And then in the end, you can see there's a little bit of an air gap all the way through. It might not be super consistent, but anything helps. So let me show you what I'm using. So this is just the vapor barrier seam tape. It's usually what they use in like the crawl spaces and stuff. This I'm only using on the seams that are like important. This is just a 4-inch wide roll of duct tape just to hold everything else together, since it's a bit cheaper than the vapor barrier tape. This is a double-sided polyester tape. So on the roof, which I'll show you, I just put the tape on to help hold it up, and then I'll also put a few screws in it still. So to secure everything, we have number 10 3/4 self tappers, and then I'm using foam board washers. There's a pack of 300 for like $8, and then the screws just vary where you want to get them from. I got everything off Amazon, but really it just holds on. Screws in, and then the set I bought came with a bit. It's a magnetic bit. It's a 5/16 or 8mm. It just helps when you're trying to put the screws in. And then this is the insulation. So reflective goes against the building, the white goes inside the building, and then this one is just a 3mm or 1/8 foam core. So they do you can also get like double bubble insulation, where it's just little bubbles in here. They have thicker foam core if you want to spend a little bit more. Let me show you the general installation method of what I'm doing. It is nice to have the scaffolding. So my building is a 30x40 with 12-foot tall walls, and the peak's obviously a few foot higher than that. If you don't have a scaffolding, you can use a taller ladder, but then you'll just be moving around a whole bunch. And it's also nice to have the scaffold if you're just doing it by yourself. All right, so I was going to show you how I mounted up the double-sided tape on the horizontal supports. It doesn't have to, you can use the whole piece, but I just cut it in half with a knife since I don't need it to be that thick. And I'm just doing it on one side of the support, because like I said, I put screws in it as well to help hold it. So this is really just to help me hold it in place, and the screws to help secure it so it doesn't sag. You may be able to do just double-sided tape, but the concern would be is if it gives away or starts to pull down a little bit, then it's sagging. So let me unhook my lights, and then I can get the scaffold set up, and I'll show you how to stick that on. So the scaffolding goes higher, but it gets a little bit more sway. As you can see, it already kind of shakes. So I just use my little ladder to get me up the extra little bit, because then I can just move it out of the way for the last few supports when I screw everything together. All right, so this first one already has some double-sided tape on it, since I do a few of them at a time. And there's only 5 supports, so when I do it, you end up getting 6 pieces when I split the double-sided tape in half. So I'll just show you how it sticks on there. And then you can see on some of the others I've done installing the insulation, you sometimes rip it. The screw slides when you're trying to screw it on here. Maybe you shift it off the side. So just put some of the vapor barrier tape on it. And we'll get this last piece on. And then I'll show you in a separate video I'm making about how I did all my electrical. So this actually runs to my sub panel. So it's just enough room to run it right above the trusses. And so it just runs all the way across to kind of hide it, because now I'm gonna have the insulation go over it. You can kind of see it comes out, over, and then it just runs all the way through and then wraps around and then down to the sub panel. So it's a 125 amp sub panel, and that's my air handler. Right now I just have it hooked up with electric heat just to kind of knock the chill off. But once I get some more work done, I'll end up hooking up the heat pump, because that's going to be more efficient. But I just want to get all this insulation knocked out first. So we got all the double-sided tape up. So I'm going to go ahead and get the roll of insulation and then get started and kind of show you how it mounts on the sides. Really, it's just, you get it, you bend it, you screw it in. You can also put a little bit of tape on the sides as well. As you can see, some tape spots. It just helps hold it in place a little bit. All right, so you just get the insulation lined up. I guess also to kind of note, didn't think about it, I caulked. I got some, I think it's polyurethane caulking or silicone caulking you can use as well. I got one that says it's good for concrete and or metal. So in my metal building, I caulked all the way around the whole entire perimeter. Then I also caulked where the siding meets the framing, because I was getting water run in because I didn't put anything down under the framing. So I caulked the inside, the outside, and right here, just trying to prevent any water from entering, and it has helped. I haven't seen any water come in through the building anymore. So now this is where I'll be doing this seam. So you usually try to get it pretty close on both sides, because since I'm bending it over, I've seen some people just tuck the extra insulation under like this, but mine, I'm just trying to screw it and tape it to the side. So it'll hold it in place, and then I'll usually connect it to the second horizontal support to get it kind of pulled out a little bit further. Make sure it's pretty straight, and then I'll seal this side up before I get going on the rest of it. All right, so we're just gonna tape up the seam, show you that right quick. So this will just be to hold the sides up a little better. So on this side, since it's meeting up with the others, I just tape everything up and seal it up nice and good. And then on this side, since I'm not done, I don't seal the whole entire thing up. So now that seam's done, I'll just put a little bit more tape. I'm just gonna start putting the screws down everything, and then just gets pretty repetitive from there. So I'll probably jump around a little bit. So for the corners, since I'm just using one long piece, I don't want to have a seam here. To make it easier on me, I pre-drill a little bit of a hole just because when I put the screw in. On both sides. And then you get some of your either double-sided tape, or you can just get some duct tape like I have. Just grab a piece, rip it, and just roll it up a little bit. You'll bend it into an L. And just put it right around the screw. So now when you pull the insulation to it, it'll stick to hold it in place for you, and then I usually put some more tape over that after. And then just find the first notch. So it's nice when you're screwing into the sides, so the drill kind of sits in there. So if you find it, and that'll hold your drill in place, so you can kind of get an even line going all the way down. And I just put one every few feet on the sides, and I just also add tape. So I'm just sealing it up more up top, just since I need the scaffolding to get up here since I don't have a tall enough ladder. And then the rest, I'll seal it more down but that's why on all the tops I have the most amount of tape, just to seal it up a little easier while I'm already on the scaffold, so I don't have to come back to it later. Because if all you're doing is the vapor barrier insulation, you want to seal the seams the best you can. I mean, the screws will hold it all tight and then the tape will seal it up. You can get like maybe like a 6-inch wide tape. You can put it over the whole thing and just fold it over the sides if you'd like as well. A 4-inch, as these are 2.5-inch, only hangs out a little bit, so it might not catch both sides. But if you got a 6-inch wide piece of tape, you can run it all the way down and make it look clean. So we'll get down now on the ladder, put a few more screws in it, and then work our way all the way to the bottom and cut it. And we'll go from there. All right, so I did some of the side, now I'll just show you the bottom. So it's pretty much just a little bit of tape, some screws all the way down. And then for the bottom, I just cut out around the anchoring bolt. So just put a few screws in it. Alrighty, so I'll show you how it hooks up. So the bottom, you got 3 screws to hold it. I do bend it in an L. And then I use the duct tape over it just to kind of seal that down a little better. And on the sides, get a few screws and a little bit of tape. And like I said, it leaves a little bit of a air gap. And then for where all my outlets are, like I said, I just sliced it. Just a little bit of room and then taped over it, then screwed the outlet back on. All right, and that's it. And then the seams, so that's where I use the vapor barrier tape. So I'm almost done. It's got a few more sections, the front wall, the top little piece, and then that last piece of wall. So I ordered roughly 2,800 square foot of material. So it came with 4-foot wide rolls, and then it was 200 foot long, or you can buy them in 100 feet long. Since I needed more, 200 feet long, which is a few dollars cheaper to buy it that way. I have 4-foot on center legs. If you didn't upgrade and have the standard 5-foot on center legs, you can go ahead and still get this material and just be 5-foot on center. I'm not sure the exact length of it, but for 2,800 square foot worth of the 4-foot on center, it was about $1,000, $1,100. But we're almost there.